Alright. So today I want to talk about Julius Caesar and how he came to be in power. I should preface this, I am not a historian of ancient Rome. I haven't really studied it aside from, the amount that I need to teach, but it's a pretty popular story. So if I get stuff wrong, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to be corrected on something like this, but that's your fair warning. Quick interruption. This is post-sandwich eating Camron, who is editing the video right now, telling you that you need to like and subscribe. Okay? Click the like button. Just click the subscribe button. It'll help me a lot. It'll help you a lot. Sandwiches make me loopy. So I'm going to skip through all of his childhood and basically get to the part where he is a consul along with the First Triumvirate. Now the First Triumvirate consists of three people, right? Three. Julius Caesar is one, Crassus is another, and Pompey is a third. Not the city Pompeii. That is different. It's a whole other thing. But Pompey, a person. You got Julius Caesar, who was basically a politician, but he wasn't like super rich, he wasn't like super famous, he was just, he became famous because of his politics and because he came from a family that was famous for being involved in politics. Crassus was basically like the Elon Musk of the time, the Jeff Bezos of the time, one of the richest, if not the richest person in Rome. And then you have Pompey, who the most significant and successful military leader in Roman society at that point. So you've got these three very famous people. You've got the war general in Pompey, you've got the very rich man in Crassus, and you've got the famous politician with Julius Caesar. They all three could not stand each other's guts, but they understood that they each had something to offer each other. Pompey had support from the military, Julius had support from the general public, and Crassus had support from the rich people and the upper class. So between the three of them, they could sway and control the direction that society was going. This rivalry, I say they hated each other, it was mostly Crassus and Pompey who really did not like each other. But Julius had this idea and had an opportunity to unite them both, which offered them each enough that they wanted and were able to get over their issues, kind of, for the most part. We're talking about the Roman Republic here. It's before emperors, they're still electing people. Consul was their basically equivalent of like Speaker of the House or Senate Majority Leader, President. Basically, these politicians would elect one person from among them, two people really, to be these consuls, to be these positions for about a year at a time. I don't know if all three of them are consuls, but they're all three like in power at the same time. Pompey, Crassus, and Julius Caesar. By the way, Caesar at the time is not associated with the word emperor. It's literally just his last name. And because it's his last name and he becomes emperor, he end up adopting his last name to be the word emperor. And it lasts through even to today. I mean, the German word for emperor is Kaiser, so Kaiser Wilhelm III traces his name, or at least his title, back to Julius Caesar. Anyway, these three people are in charge, and they realize, hey, if we are at war, we can't be taken out of power. So Julius Caesar goes up and he starts a war in Gaul, which is today France, Germany area, without the permission of the Senate. And because he starts the war without the permission of the Senate, that is illegal. It is a war crime. He can be imprisoned for that. But because he's a prominent political figure, he has immunity while they're at war. So it's this catch-22 of, you started this war, and that means that we get to arrest you, but also we can't arrest you until the war is over. So he just drags this war out for as long as he absolutely needs to, because what's the point? I mean, as long as he's doing that, he can stay in office. And on the flip side, he's kind of doing a thing that the Roman Republic would want. He's out conquering more territory. So they're kind of like, wait, no, stop, keep going. They're kind of like encouraging him to fight, but also like, hey man, you went behind our backs, we don't like that, we're gonna bring you in and arrest you when the war's over. While he's doing that, you've got Pompey, who's kind of just made governor over Hispania, which is today Spain. If you couldn't figure that one out, I don't know what to tell you. He's kind of over there doing his own thing, just kind of running it. As far as I know, and I could be wrong here, but as far as I know, it's a pretty calm area. Then you've got Crassus, who is made governor over the kind of Syrian, Middle Eastern side of things. He looks at Julius and he's like, hey, Julius is fighting a war. Why can't I do that? He's getting all this glory and all this support by fighting a war. I want that. The difference is here, Julius actually had a significant amount of military experience. By the time this is all going on, Crassus didn't. So it would be kind of like if Jeff Bezos saw the United States invading Iraq and was like, I can do that. And then starts invading Argentina, right? There's no real reason for him to do it, and it's probably not gonna go that well. And it didn't go very well for Crassus. Crassus is out in the Middle East invading Parthia, and it's not doing so well. In fact, in a couple of the battles, he loses some of his key officers, including his son. He sends his son into battle, and his son dies. So he's feeling terrible. He decides, all right, we need to surrender. But as he's going to meet the Parthians, the guy who's like leading his horse, his guard, thinks that this is gonna be a trap and freaks out. And because he freaks out, the Parthians freak out. And because the Parthians freak out, the Roman delegation freaks out. And it breaks out into this battle that easily could have been avoided, that the Parthians win, and Crassus is killed. I don't know if these stories are true, but there are some stories that say that the Parthians took Crassus's head and used it as a dinner table ornament for a number of days, if not weeks. This triumvirate is now a diumvirate. I don't know, it's just Pompey and Julius Caesar at this point. Now, because Pompey and Julius Caesar didn't really like each other the whole lot either, and they knew that Crassus might eventually do something stupid, they secured their own relationship by having Julius marry Pompey's daughter, Julia. Julius actually had two sisters named Julia, Julia Minor and Julia Major. And if you think that's kind of weird, you're right. Basically like calling your kids Fat Julie and Skinny Julie, or Big Julie, Little Julie, Julie number 1 and Julie number 2, or Better Julie and Worse Julie. It's Rome. There's like 8 names that go around and everybody shares them. While all this is happening, Julius's great nephew gets kind of orphaned, and so Julius adopts him as his own. And this guy is Octavian, or Octavius. I've seen it written both ways. He's the guy who ends up becoming Augustus Caesar and kicks off the Pax Romana, and that is something that we can talk about in a completely different video. So Pompey had his daughter marry Julius to make sure their relationship would stay tight, that their relationship would stay level and sane. But here's the problem. After Crassus dies doing his stupid thing in Parthia, Julia also dies. I'm not sure why or how. I don't think it was assassination or poison. It may have been childbirth. The important part is now Pompey and Julius have nothing tying them together. There's no reason for them to be nice to each other anymore. That whole father-in-law, son-in-law dynamic, we're happy together because my daughter, my wife, is connecting us, no longer exists. So their relationship quickly devolves. And Julius, who has had to go back and forth from the war in Gaul down to the Senate, to the war in Gaul down to the Senate for these meetings, is just getting tired of this crap. And Pompey, who's kind of a retired military general at this point, doesn't really have as much support with the military. Julius, however, who is out fighting a war in the north with the military as their leader, he's gaining quite a bit of support. And on top of this, Pompey is gaining support from the rich people. So he's losing support from his military, but he's gaining Crassus's supporters. Whereas Julius, he's maintaining his support from the general public as this famous and popular politician, and also gaining support from the military. Now, Pompey and Julius on the Senate floor are getting into argument after argument. Things are tense. Julius decides, you know what? It's time for my diplomatic immunity not to end, but to go up a notch. So what he does is he goes up and he ends the war in Gaul. He looks at the military and says, hey, we've got 2 options here. 1, you could go home to be with your families and this like normal, and this will all blow over. Or 2, if you really like me as your leader, you'll help me remove Pompey from power, because he's causing all of these problems down there in Rome. And trust me, you don't want him in power. So do you like me? And the soldiers are like, well, yeah, man, we've been fighting with you for like a decade. We love you. You're awesome. We'll do anything for you. So Julius starts marching the military towards the city of Rome. That would kind of be like, instead of Donald Trump leaving the White House when Joe Biden was elected, goes to all the military bases around the world, gathers this army, and then marches the army on Washington, D.C. Like, this is the equivalent of what we're talking about here. So Julius Caesar marches his army down through the Italian peninsula and gets to the Rubicon River. And he had been warned, if you cross the Rubicon River, it is a declaration of war on Rome. You will be seen as a criminal, and you're basically starting a civil war here. And he just says, cool. Crosses the river. Now here's the other thing. Pompey, he's got a smaller military force, and the people who are fighting for Julius
love Julius. On top of that, Julius is popular with the people. So the people are looking at Pompey and saying, we don't want you either, we kind of want Julius. So Julius comes in with support of the people and support of the military and goes up against these rich upper class people in Rome, which is basically everyone who was left to support Pompey, and just cleans house. Pompey himself has to escape and flee, goes down to Egypt, and while he's in Egypt, he gets approached by someone who turns out to be an assassin, stabs him right through the gut, he dies. Julius declares himself emperor for life, the end of the Roman Republic as we knew it, and how Julius Caesar came to power. That's a lot. Alright, so it's me from the future. I've finished editing this video, and I gotta tell you, I recorded way too much. So we're gonna make it into two parts. Second part, which is gonna come in a few days, is gonna be Julius Caesar as emperor. I'm gonna be wearing the same shirt in all of it because I filmed it in one sitting. I don't care.